All right, so just based on what happens in our graph at those zeros. Okay, so first of all, what zero corresponds to this, or what factor corresponds to this 0? X minus a negative 2, so it becomes x plus 2. And the way that it passes through indicates what power? Multiplicity of 3. It snakes through or curves through. Okay, and then when we look at this 0, okay, what factor associated with that 0? X minus 1 with a multiplicity or power of 2. Bounces, so it's going to be a 2. Okay, so that's just looking at what's happening on the graph. Okay, now, if it had said that this was a plus or minus leading coefficient, we have up to the left, down to the right, means that it's going to be what? Positive or negative? Up to the left, down to the right is indicative of negative. So we still know it's going to be negative, but what we don't know is it's not specifically -1 or +1. So what we have to do is assume that it is some unknown coefficient here. We need to find what this is. I'm going to call it A. Okay, so A is our leading coefficient. So we want to find what that is. And in order to find what that is, what we're going to use is we're going to be given a y-intercept here. Okay, so the y-intercept shows up as the dot on the graph. So what are the corresponding coordinates of that y-intercept? Here. An x-coordinate of 0 and a y-coordinate of -6. So what we want to do, and again, what this represents is this point. It represents the point 0 and f of 0, right, using function notation. So what we can do here is we can substitute in these values. So basically f of 0 equals a times x plus 2 cubed times x minus 1 squared. So if you think of it kind of in that general sense, what we can then do is we can substitute in a 0 for our x's, right, because we're evaluating for those two things. And then we can substitute in this value, -6, here. So really what we're getting here is -6 is equal to a times 0 plus 2 cubed. 2 cubed is 8. 0 minus 1 squared, -1 squared is 1. And so we get this number 8. If we divide both sides by 8, those cancel, and we get a is equal to -6 over 8 reduces to -3/4. And so that is our a value. When we write our answer, we get -3/4 x plus 2 squared, x minus 1. Oops. Let me go back. -3/4 x plus 2 cubed, x minus 1 squared, and that would be our function.